They laughed at me during the town meeting. They mocked my accent, my clothes, and the trailer I lived in. I stood there, silent. But what they didn't know, I had just signed the deed to the most valuable piece of land in the county. And without it, their annual festival, their precious town income, and their pride would collapse. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's paperwork. I moved to Ellensburg, Washington 3 years ago. Not by choice. After my divorce, I had to start over somewhere cheap, somewhere quiet. The town was small, the people tight-knit, and from day one, I wasn't one of them. I bought a rundown trailer on the edge of town. Every morning, I fixed it with my own hands, worked online as a remote mechanic consultant, and kept to myself. But small towns don't like mystery. And they sure as hell don't like outsiders. It started with whispers. Then side eyes. Then, mockery. I'd show up at the local diner and the conversation would go silent. At the gas station, they'd say things like, "Don't mind him, he thinks a wrench and a YouTube degree makes him a genius." I never responded. I didn't have time for small-minded people. But it all came to a head during the annual Spring Creek Town Hall. That day, I showed up to support a proposal to open up a new youth center on the town's west side. It was a good idea, especially for kids who didn't come from money. I stepped up to the mic and shared my thoughts, respectfully. I mentioned I'd be willing to help fix up the old barns on the edge of Harlow Creek for free. And that's when Councilman Roy Whitaker smirked. "You fix up Harlow? Son, that land's been in this town since before you even knew where Washington was. Stick to your trailer. We don't need out-of-towners playing savior." The room burst out laughing. I felt heat in my face. But I didn't respond. Just nodded. And walked out. But something in me snapped. Not in anger, something colder. Strategic. Because what Roy and the rest didn't know. I'd already been in quiet talks with an old rancher named Mr. Kruger. And he was desperate to sell the land. Harlow Creek. 3 weeks before the town meeting, I found out Mr. Kruger's kids had moved away. He was 82, diabetic, and had no use for the land anymore. His property sat on 27 acres, including the only access road to the annual Ellensburg River Festival, which brought in thousands in tourism money every June. That land was sacred to this town, not because of sentiment, but because of money. I met Mr. Kruger twice. We talked about engines, hunting, and old trucks. Then I made him an offer, all cash. He was stunned. Not many folks around here walk in offering the full price without haggling. He said yes. I signed the paperwork in a lawyer's office in Yakima, quietly. No announcement. No press. No Facebook post. I didn't even tell my neighbor. 3 days after the town meeting where they humiliated me, the title was in my name. I stood on the ridge overlooking the creek. The same place Roy and the other council members would throw their VIP barbecues and ribbon cuttings. I didn't even smile. Just nodded. Step 1, complete. Step 2. Let them come to me. The first letter came in mid-April. From the Ellensburg Events Committee. It read, "Dear Mr. Wells, as you're now the registered owner of the Harlow Creek land, we'd like to formally request access to the grounds for the June River Festival, as is tradition. We're happy to discuss compensation." I didn't reply. Then came the email from Councilman Roy himself. "Let's talk." I did reply. I wrote, "Ellensburg made it clear I wasn't welcome. Harlow Creek is private land now. Do not trespass." That sent the town into a frenzy. They tried legal pressure. But I had every document, every signature, every right. Roy even tried offering me $80,000 over what I paid. I told him I'd think about it. And then I built a gate. A 12-foot steel fence, cameras, and a sign. Private property, no trespassing. Violators will be prosecuted. The festival had to move to a dusty parking lot behind the grain mill. No river. No trees. No view. Vendors pulled out. Attendance dropped by 70%. Local businesses lost thousands. And me. I watched from my porch with a cold beer. But I wasn't done yet. 2 months later, I made one more move. I donated a portion of the land, not to the town, but to a youth outreach nonprofit based in Seattle. They built a nature retreat for foster kids. No press, no credit. Just a quiet way of saying, you tried to shame me. And I gave something better to people who needed it more. Roy resigned the next year. Turns out, his re-election campaign couldn't recover from the chaos. Now, when people pass me in town, they nod. Some wave. Some try to chat. But I don't smile. I don't forget.